Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into exactly how brain science improves productivity. Because look, if you've ever felt like you're grinding away, putting in crazy hours, but just not moving the needle, well, the problem probably isn't your work ethic. It's that you're not using your brain the way it was biologically wired to work. So today, we're totally changing that. We're decoding the literal scientific rules that govern our brains.
Let's think about this for a second. Do geniuses like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, or Albert Einstein somehow have a magical 30-hour day? No way. They've got the exact same 24 hours that you and I do. So what's their secret? Do they just hustle harder? Not really. The actual difference is they know exactly how to manage their cognitive resources, while most people are kind of held hostage by theirs. They figured out that productivity isn't actually about time management at all. It's completely about brain management.
And here's exactly why that distinction is an absolute game changer. Neuroscience gives us this fascinating and honestly slightly terrifying number, 60,000 plus. That is the number of thoughts the average human brain generates every single day. And here's the kicker, the vast majority of those thoughts, pure distractions, random worries, pointless mental clutter just pulling at your attention. If you don't take the wheel, you're literally fighting a losing battle against 60,000 distractions before you even open your laptop for the day.
Which brings us to the ultimate productivity secret, our guiding mantra. Train your mind or it will train you. It's really that simple. If you don't actively take charge of how your brain processes information, it's going to default to the easiest, most distracting path available. The most successful people out there don't just hustle blindly, they understand brain science, and they work right alongside it to force their minds into a state of deep, uninterrupted execution.
To help you do exactly that, here's our roadmap. We'll start with the ultimate productivity secret, move into fueling the physical brain, master focus and memory, look at visuals, repetition, and curiosity, and then wrap up with a 21-day brain challenge. Let's jump right in.
Kicking things off with our first pillar, fueling the physical brain through movement, sleep, and managing stress. Rule number 1 is all about how movement actively boosts brain power. Now, most of us are glued to our chairs for 8, maybe 10 hours straight, but research shows that staying seated like that drastically kills your brain's efficiency. Think about it. When a student sits studying for 4 hours straight, eventually they just lose focus, right? Their head feels incredibly heavy. But if you just take a 5-minute walk every 40 to 50 minutes, it changes everything. Movement pumps oxygen and blood straight to the brain, physically firing up those brain cells. I mean, this is exactly why Albert Einstein used to take long daily walks just to think. If you want a clear, highly creative mind, you've got to get up and move. And that physical fuel, it directly extends to how we rest. Rule 4 tells us that getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep is absolutely non-negotiable if you want peak performance. We live in this crazy hustle culture where people stay up till 3 a.m. scrolling their phones or forcing themselves to work, convinced they're getting ahead. But science completely debunks that. A brain running on 4 hours of sleep is biologically exhausted. It's going to forget crucial information. Why? Because when you sleep, your brain is actually doing the heavy lifting. It's organizing all that complex data you took in during the day and locking it securely into your memory. Good sleep is literally a battery recharge for your focus and decision-making, so absolutely do not sacrifice it. Now that brings us to Rule 5, managing stress to protect that brain efficiency. Look, a little bit of stress is fine. It can actually keep you sharp, but chronic, unrelenting stress, it will completely tank your productivity. Just imagine someone under constant pressure from their boss. When they finally sit down to make a big decision, their mind is swimming in cortisol, and they end up making these incredibly simple mistakes. Highly successful CEOs know this, and that's why they actively hit the reset button on their brains. Simple, intentional habits like deep breathing exercises, daily meditation, or just taking short walks in nature, these physically calm the mind down so it can get back to peak cognitive efficiency. Moving right along to our second pillar, mastering focus and memory, which is all about attention and building connections. Let's look at Rule 2. The brain absolutely loves single-pointed attention. Bill Gates has this famous habit. He takes a think week every single year. He goes completely off the grid. No meetings, no emails, zero distractions. Just him and his thoughts. Now, why go to such an extreme? Because he knows the human brain is just not wired to focus on multiple complex things at once. It biologically demands a deep, singular thinking mode to produce high-level, innovative work. When you divide your attention, you're literally dividing your brain's processing power. Which, by the way, totally destroys the modern myth of multitasking. Come on, we all do it. Laptop open, checking messages, scrolling social media, firing off a quick email. But here's the crazy part. Every single time your attention shifts to a notification, the brain takes an agonizing 5 to 10 minutes just to get back into focus mode.
So if you sit down for an hour of so-called multitasking, you might only actually get 20 minutes of productive deep work done. Single focus isn't just some trendy productivity buzzword. Biologically speaking, it's the only way your brain actually operates at its full, uncompromised capacity.
Rule 3 builds right on top of this. Memory works through connections. If you try to rote memorize a list of isolated, disconnected facts like the words apple, dog, and car, your brain is going to toss them out almost instantly because it just doesn't see the value. But imagine a dog sitting in a car eating an apple. Instantly, you've got this vivid, kind of absurd image in your head, right? The human brain is historically hardwired to remember connected stories and images way better than isolated facts. So, if you want to remember something important, don't just repeat it over and over in a vacuum. Turn it into a story. Connect it directly to something you already know. All right, on to our third pillar: visuals, repetition, and curiosity. This is the secret sauce for accelerated learning. Rule 6 reveals that our brains are obsessed with pictures. If someone hands you a dense 10-line paragraph of text, it takes some serious mental effort and calorie burn to parse through all that data. But if you see that exact same information presented as a simple diagram or a clear chart, you instantly understand the relationships. The brain processes visual information vastly quicker than text. It's exactly why maps, infographics, and clear visuals make learning feel so incredibly effortless. Next up is Rule 7, repeat to remember. Look, repetition is the absolute mother of learning. Think about when you hear a new song on the radio. The first time, maybe you just catch the melody. But after you hear it 5 or 6 times, the lyrics are automatically stuck in your head. Zero effort required. The brain literally needs repetition as a signal that a piece of information is important enough to keep. So here is your golden repetition playbook. Read a topic on day 1. Give it a second look on day 3. Revise it on day 7. By spacing it out like this, you are physically transferring that data straight into your long-term memory banks. And our final brain rule, Rule 8, is just a massive productivity hack: curiosity. Have you ever been casually browsing and you see a title that says, "The one habit that will 5x your productivity," and you just had to click it? That's curiosity doing its thing. The human brain absolutely despises unanswered questions. When you're genuinely curious, your brain automatically switches into this hyper-focused, supercharged learning mode. So if you can somehow spark your own curiosity about a boring task or a difficult project, you won't even have to force yourself to focus. Your biology will just step in and do the heavy lifting for you. That brings us to our final section, the 21-day brain challenge. It's time to actually rewire your productivity. You might want to take a quick screenshot of this list because this is your new everyday playbook. If you can commit to practicing these 8 rules for just the next 21 days, keeping your body active, stopping the endless multitasking, learning through connections, getting your full night of sleep, controlling your stress, leaning into visual learning, repeating to remember, and always maintaining that spark of curiosity, the results are going to be staggering. You'll find your focus multiplies. Your brain processes things so much faster, and you'll get way more done in a fraction of the time. Because at the end of the day, highly successful people aren't just grinding away blindly. They understand their own biology, and they leverage it to their advantage. So I want to leave you with one final, kind of provocative question. Will you control your brain, or will you let your brain control you? It really is entirely up to you. It's time to stop working harder and start working smarter by letting science do the actual work. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I highly encourage you to kick off your 21 days starting right now.